Thank you all. I see no more cards. Are there any last public comments at this time? Okay, seeing none, I will not yet close the public hearing. Come on forward, please. Thank you. Oh, this is just a moment. Not quite yet. This is not on this topic. This is for soon. We'll get to you soon, Mark. Okay. So yes, now we are closing the public hearing and moving to comments from the floor. Comments from the floor. Now we will be more likely to enforce the 3-minute time limit per person, 20 minutes per topic for items on or off the agenda. And we do have a card from Mr. Mark Graham. And it's on items not on the agenda. And sir, please, now's your time.
Superintendent Aycock, President, and members of the board, my name is Mark Graham, and I live in Davis. Would you sign a petition to support more money for teachers? I don't have a petition for you, but I have something better. I'm here to tell you about a grassroots campaign for public school funding that's called 25 Teachers Salaries. And the goal of this campaign is to trade bombs and missiles for teachers. It's going to be a statewide and eventually a nationwide campaign to do this. And I'm here to ask for your support in helping to make this happen. As you know, the average starting teacher's salary in California is about $40,000 per year. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., billions of dollars are being spent on weapons. The Department of Defense buys many bombs and missiles that cost $1 million each or more. At that rate, every one of them costs the equivalent of 25 teachers' salaries. The purpose of this campaign is to reallocate a percentage of that money from the weapons budget back to the states, earmarked for hiring K-12 teachers and other educators who were laid off in the last 4 years. So how are we going to do this? We're not starting with Congress because we believe Congress is unreachable on the subject of war and peace. But unlike the Congress, the state legislatures actually have to balance a budget. And I realize we in California were 100 days late on balancing our budget this year, and we probably achieved it through some unrealistic figures, but nevertheless they balanced a budget. And the point is that the legislators are very familiar with the impacts to cutting education year after year. And that's why we believe that they'll be receptive to this. We've written a 2-page resolution that we're asking the legislature to pass, and we're asking the board's help in persuading the legislature to pass this resolution. This resolution asks Congress to pass a bill that we've written called America's Weapons Rebate to Education Act, and that would reallocate the money. So what are we asking from the board? Basically, your endorsement for this campaign, your communication to the legislature that, yes, this would be good for the school district, please pass this resolution. And what steps could you take? Ask your staff to prepare a report to estimate what would be the impact on this district if America's Weapons Rebate to Education Act were passed. Solicit input from the community. Ask your teachers, your parents, your administrators, and even your students, do they want the board to support trading bombs for teachers? Make this an agenda item. There's room at the end of the agenda where any board member can say this, I want us to bring up advocacy later on at a future board meeting. And you may be wondering, can the board really do this? Can the board take positions on state and federal legislation? The answer is found in Board Policy 1160 on political processes. Now, you may all be very familiar with this. I'm just at the risk of repeating something you know. I have to read a couple of quotes because it really fits very nicely with what I'm saying. The Board of Education has a responsibility to actively advocate fiscal and public policy that supports the district schools and the children in the community. The board's responsibility as an advocate for the district may include lobbying at the state and national levels. The board shall identify issues that will affect its schools and the children in its community, establish goals and priorities for legislative advocacy, solicit community input, and adopt legislative positions. And finally, the superintendent or designee shall establish a coordinated plan for carrying out the advocacy agenda, including specific activities, target groups or individuals, staff responsibilities, and timelines. What I've proposed, which I emailed to the board and to the superintendent, is a plan whereby you can meet these responsibilities and bring in potentially hundreds of thousands, I don't know how many dollars, to the district that you would not otherwise have. The idea is that when the California legislature passes this resolution, the other states who are also experiencing state difficulties will basically say, if California can do it, we can do it too. And people in those other states will create grassroots campaigns to work on their legislatures to persuade them to pass very similar resolutions to what we will have passed. And the net combined effect is a nationwide political movement to move Congress to action. Thank you.
Thank you. And per law, this board is not authorized to engage in conversation on items not on the agenda, since it was not a publicly agendized item. So we are unable at this time to engage in a back and forth, but we do appreciate your time, and we did all receive your email with the backup documentation. Thank you.